You are Locked On Chargers Postcast, part of Locked On Sports Los Angeles on the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Hello and welcome to the Locked On Chargers Postcast on the Locked On Sports LA YouTube channel. Place to hang out when every game is done. I am Pete Fox, covering sports in LA dating back to 2007 for ESPN LA and NBC Sports Radio. He is Kenyon Barner, 9 years in the league, 3 rings, and an Oregon Duck who is probably still dabbing the team a little.
How did I know you were going to bring this up?
I was
just hoping we could slide through this episode.
State game was good. I thought, like, all right, this is going to be a better game, and it wasn't a better game. It was not good.
No, it was not. It was awful. We got set over grandma's lap and spanked. It was awful. That was terrible. That was so terrible. And I'm really mad that you brought that up because I'm depressed again.
I'm sorry. Hey, I said you let's go Ducks. I was with you at the start. I said, come on, let's do this.
The question is, did you stay with me?
No, I was gone as soon as I was out of there.
Jumped out the car.
Like I was doing some honeydews and some stuff around the house.
Got you.
Today's episode of the Locked On Chargers Postcast brought to you by LinkedIn Jobs. LinkedIn Jobs helps you find the qualified candidates you want to talk to faster. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/LockedOnNFL. Terms and conditions apply. Well, this one was a little close in the beginning, but neither one of us were worried. I thought, one of the things about the Chargers this season, they have consistently taken care of business against inferior opponents, and without a doubt, the Raiders are an inferior opponent. With Aiden O'Connell at quarterback, I didn't have a ton of fear. Jacoby Myers had a good game and got up some big gains at times, but really they didn't have much else going on offensively. And I said, I don't believe this Charger defense is going to let one guy beat them. And when they scored that touchdown right at the end of the first half, I thought game over, especially when Quentin Johnston was having the kind of game that he had today. 9 catches for 117 in the first half. Coming into this one, Kenyon, I was like, Ladd McConkey's Herbert's guy, but in order to stretch the field, you got to do it with Quentin Johnston, and they came out and did it today. How much did you like his game?
I loved it, especially over the tail end of the season. He's had a couple games where some drops here and there, so to have him come out today and I think be targeted 14 times and have 13 catches out of those 14 and then put up the numbers that he did, he had a phenomenal performance. You could see the energy. You could see it. One thing about a player that's in the zone, there's a demeanor about them. And when you look at him, when he caught that one-handed pass, he kind of got up, shrugged his shoulders off a little bit like, yeah, I'm here. Like, I love to see that, especially with the playoffs right around the corner. This is what you need. You need to have a guy like him have a huge breakout game, record-breaking game for himself going into this next week when we face the Texans, I believe we got.
Yeah. The 5 seed is locked now, so the Chargers will travel to Houston to face the Texans, which I love way better than traveling to Baltimore to face the Ravens outside. And the thing that I don't like about that matchup the most is Harbaugh versus Harbaugh. I feel like these guys overthink it on both ends, and it just complicates issues. You
grow up with the guy. I mean, it's hard. You grow up with that guy. You've been playing against him your entire coaching career, coaching against him per se. You know him like you know yourself. So there's a lot of thinking that goes into that. And I don't like the matchup because it's just not a good matchup for the Chargers. It's not a good matchup for Harbaugh himself going against his brother. I don't think he's beat his brother yet.
No, he hasn't. So this is a really perfect scenario for the Chargers, and maybe not perfect, but it's the best options that were available to them, with the Bengals winning yesterday and them winning today. 34-20 the final, by the way, with a couple of touchdowns in the fourth quarter. I feel like everything is just rolling right now. I felt today like the team came at the Raiders in waves. It wasn't like we're going to do this one thing. We're going to try a little bit of this and a little bit of that, and everything seemed to be working much like last week. So you pile these 2 games together, 3 wins in a row. Their confidence probably couldn't be higher, I don't think.
No, not at all. I said this about Ohio State, going back to college for a second. I'd seen watching them play against Tennessee and then watching them play against Oregon. They're peaking at the right time. And I transfer over to the Chargers. It's all about peaking at the right time. You don't want to peak too soon. You don't want to peak too late. They're peaking at just the right time. Playoffs right around the corner. These last 3 games have been great games for them to find their groove, get in a rhythm, get in a routine of things, and really come out and perform. So I'm excited. I really am. I'm excited about what these guys could do, especially getting Houston. It's a favorable matchup.
Yeah, today there's so many statistics to look at and go, yeah, that's not one that I would expect, but I love it. Like the rushing yards for Herbert. And again, I don't know about you, Kenyon. I like being right. And coming into this game, I did my preview against, with the Kansas City radio station that I go on to talk about the Chargers. He asked me a lot about Ladd McConkey, and I said, Ladd McConkey is kind of like, and I don't know if this is an offensive term to quarterbacks, but he's like his safety blanket. He just has such a high level of confidence in him that he can throw the ball and, his direction, and he feels like most of the time it's going to be caught. But in order to stretch the field, you got to do it with Quentin Johnston. And that's what happened today. And then I said, look, the other thing that is a huge factor, J.K. Dobbins, without him, this is a completely different team. But when you throw in Justin Herbert running the ball, it's a whole nother level of something that defenses have to account for. And it makes the Chargers offense even more dynamic. And today, 43 yards, 42 on 1 carry for Justin Herbert was really, really nice to see.
It's dangerous when you have you look at Lamar Jackson's and the Ravens offense. It's not just about big Derrick Henry running the ball. It's not just about getting the ball downfield. But when you watch Lamar Jackson, it's his ability to change the game with his legs. And Justin Herbert, not saying that he's Lamar Jackson because he's not with his legs, but Herbert still has the ability to impact the game and could possibly change the game with his legs. We've seen it throughout the season where he's kind of broken defenses down. I've watched Herbert make more guys miss than I've ever seen him make miss in my entire time watching him from college until now this season. So when he uses his leg, he makes this offense dynamic.
18 of 63 for J.K. Dobbins. Got a couple of runs there where, and I always love seeing this, when it looks like, he's run out of field, there's defenders in front of him, and then he busts off 8 or 10. And those to me are, tell me about that as a running back. Like, is that just a matter of will, or do you have to find an opening, or because those to me as a spectator are just amazing, because you're like, I got no options here, but somehow they figure out one.
That's all will and leg drive. One thing Deuce Staley, who's in my opinion one of the greatest coaches I've ever had, he would always tell you, when you get in a pile, when you feel contact, never stop your feet, because you never know what can happen. And when you watch JK never stops his feet. His feet are constantly moving and digging. When you get in them piles, guys are just kind of reaching to grab something. They don't know who they have. So they could have another defender. They could have another offensive player. Meanwhile, you're slipping out like JK does so often and making extra yards, getting yards down the field.
Yeah, that was nice to see. Although there was a moment there where he went down on a tackle and his leg kind of got pretzel twisted up underneath him, and we were all holding our breath going, oh, no.
I said MCL immediately. I said
really?
MCL. I said MCL immediately. The way his leg was stuck, and then how he was grabbing, I said, please don't. Please don't.
Yeah, it could have been an ankle too. That looked worse to me than the knee. So yeah, that was good. Knock on wood that nothing bad came of that. Something good after the break. I want to talk about something good that came from something bad, in my opinion. It's the Locked On Chargers postcast on the Locked On Sports LA YouTube channel. Pete Fox, Kenyon Barner. Don't forget you can download us on the Locked On Chargers podcast feed wherever you find your podcasts, and we appreciate you allowing us to be your source for your team every day. Today's episode of the Locked On Chargers postcast is brought to you by Rocket Money. Did you know Rocket Money can help you find subscriptions you forgot about or that you were paying for twice? Who does that? Who buys the same prescription twice? I guess wife or significant other could get one and you get the same one and you're paying for them twice. Well, Rocket Mortgage can help you with that. If you have subscriptions that you're not using or that you have 2 of, Rocket Money will help you track them all down and cancel the ones you don't need, and sometimes they even help you get refunds. They also help you with your finances. They're like a personal assistant. Rocket Money is a personal finance app that helps you find can cancel unwanted subscriptions, monitors your spending, helps you lower your bills so you can grow your savings. It also brings everything together in one place. Cancel your unwanted subscriptions and reach your financial goals faster with Rocket Money. Go to rocketmoney.com/locked-on today. That's rocketmoney.com/locked-on. rocketmoney.com/locked-on. Today's show also brought to you by LinkedIn. LinkedIn Jobs is a useful tool for people that are trying to grow their small business in 2025. It comes down to how well you can hire. Let's face it, better hires start with smarter insights. That's where LinkedIn comes in. With the strongest hiring data, LinkedIn helps you identify the right candidates, giving you the confidence to make the best decisions for your business. Using LinkedIn is very easy, and small businesses need that because you're wearing so many hats. Every hire is crucial. LinkedIn gets that. That's why they connect you with the best candidates using data you won't find anywhere else, from unique skills and interests to connections you share. LinkedIn helps you find the right person for the right job. In fact, 72% of small businesses say LinkedIn has helped them find high quality candidates. Hire smarter this year and find your next great hire on LinkedIn. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/lockedonnfl. That's linkedin.com/lockedonnfl to post your job for free. Terms and conditions apply. All right, Chargers lock up that 5 seed. They'll face the Houston Texans. 34-20, the final. One of the things that came out of this game that I thought was a little bit negative, but turned out to be positive for me, I think, just to get it out of his system. Dicker missed a kick for the first time in 19 field goals.
I need you to get out of my head. I need you to get out of my head. I'm literally looking at what I wrote down about that to bring up to you. Get out of my head, okay?
Sorry about that. Yeah, I'm like, that's fine. It's sometimes teams going into the postseason, or players, you want them to have a little bit of something that checks them, right? It's like, that's what we needed for Dicker. The broadcaster's jinx was in effect a couple of times, and I think it was like, he's never missed from inside 40 yards. I'm like, oh no. And then he didn't, so that was good, but he missed his earlier one, which was his first 51. Miss in 19 tries. Yeah, so he's still locked in. All is good, and I'm not terribly worried about him at all. But another surprising thing that came out of this game for me, tell me if you agreed with this. I didn't know the McConkey could get up like that. He's got some hops.
Listen,
there was a couple of passes that were like 7 feet in the air, and he came like, I'm like, is that McConkey? He was getting up there. There was a few things. There was a few. It was the bunnies that he has in his legs, and then it was his burst on that 47-yard pass that he caught. And I said, wait a minute. Oh no, he can really run. He can go. So he's full of surprises. To see a guy that small be able to jump as high as he can, and then again have that type of burst to where he can separate and can accelerate past guys. Sorry, lad, I was not familiar with your game. I apologize, brother. Yeah. We knew he had, like, when he had that nice catch for 47 yards, he kind of settled in front of the safeties and behind the linebackers, and they pointed it out on the broadcast that he found the opening in the defense, and we're familiar with that. We know that he can do that. He's a great route runner. But some of the other things we saw from him today were exciting and surprising at the same time. There was one thing I didn't love, and it was kind of the only offensive lull they had all day. It was at the 8:15 mark of the second. There was a bad pass from Herbert, kind of overthrew McConkey. He had him 5-yard line, would have been a touchdown more than likely. But shortly thereafter, about 2 minutes later, first and goal from the 6, false start, holding, back it up, kick a field goal. So I didn't love that little series there, but again, maybe that's getting it out of your system kind of a thing. I mean, sometimes we look for offenses to be a little too perfect, and that stuff's just going to happen.
Was that the pass where Ladd kind of hooked it in and Herbert was expecting him to keep going up the seam? Is that the pass you're talking about?
Exactly. Yeah. He threw it over his head a little bit, and he had a couple of wild passes there that were a little too strong. But for the most part, he was locked in. A fairly big day for him. 28 of 36, 346, 2 touchdowns, and again the 42-yard run. So from a Herbert perspective, I think his confidence is very good. Got 1 touchdown pass to DJ Chark, which
beautiful.
Yeah, that was nice to see as well. I thought another guy that kind of impressed me today, and I as I said earlier, I feel like the Chargers are just coming at him in waves. Will Dissly, to me, is so crucial because he, tight ends that can block and catch the ball are very important, and he's a guy that just makes it look so easy, Gronk style. It's like, really, it's that easy? I mean, I could do that. He makes it look so easy, and I love that about him. And then he gave the ball to the fullback to spike it there. That was also a nice move, I thought.
Showing the big guy some love. Fullbacks don't get enough love in the fullback position is dying. So good to see that guy get some love with the ball. But as you just said with Dissly, he's just a natural he's a blocking tight end, and those are rare in the NFL. Mm-hmm. Most guys are pass catching guys and only want to be on passing down, but he loves getting dirty. He loves doing the dirty work in the run game, but then he also gets rewarded by Herbert in the passing game. So he's living the best of both worlds right now. Get it together, Kenyon.
Yeah, he is. Hassan Haskins, 12 carries, 33 yards with Gus out. I don't know if we'll see him next week in the wild card game. Haskins played well today, as he did last week. So that's not terribly surprising. One of the questions I have for you is, did you feel in the first half like was the offense a little conservative? And if so, do you think that was the game plan, or was it this whole, hey, it's the Raiders, we know we're going to win this game, we need, kind of a little bit of a wake-up call like we saw with the Tampa game? They were kind of, playing with their food a little bit, and they got it together, won the game, got into the playoffs. Kind of felt like it was that scenario for them. I don't think they came in. The coaches knew what was on the line, so there was no way they wanted to fart around with this game. They wanted this game as important. They knew it. I felt like the players, though, kind of were just like not necessarily focused in the first half.
I would completely agree with that statement. I thought the same thing. I thought they came out kind of just lackadaisical, not as locked in. Energy not particularly there. And it's hard as players, as coaches, what's on the line, and even as players, what's on the line. But sometimes as players, we tend to play to the level of the competition that we're playing until it's time to turn it on. And fortunately for the Chargers, they're able to turn it on, but that's not a mode you want to get in, especially with playoffs right around the corner. You want to come out hitting on all cylinders.
Yeah, that one-handed catch from Quentin Johnston was I don't know if one-handed catches are becoming more of the regular, thanks to, I feel like ever since OBJ made that historic, that one catch, I don't know how long ago was that, 10 years ago, whatever.
It was a while.
Ever since then, I feel like one-handed catches are becoming a little bit more expected and regular occurrences, but they're always amazing and exciting, especially when it's that outside hand and you're running a go route down the sideline. The pass is a little bit far and he just sticks out the one hand and pulls it in. That was fantastic. And I'm not surprised, because that's what Quentin Johnston is capable of. I just hope he keeps it going. That's all I'm hoping for.
I think this was a great game for him. It was a great confidence builder for him to go in, like I said, going into the playoffs next week. I think this was crucial for him, not only for him, but for the team as well. But there was a lot of great plays. We talked about the Chark catch, but then also the interception by Henley, I thought was a beautiful interception. There was plays being made all over this field today, all over the field. Great plays, beautiful plays, catches on both sides of the ball. It was just this was a highlight filled game, in my opinion.
Yeah, that was a huge play, because if they don't, the interception from Henley, which, turned into a 1 minute drill, and they turned it into a touchdown, which was also a huge confidence builder. Because if that doesn't happen, they go into the locker room, Raiders are leading 10-9. And I still think they win the game, but it's a different mindset going in and coming out of the locker room. Right. I got a question. Another thing I was about, how do players feel about halftime in general? Is everyone looking forward to it, or is the team in front kind of like, let's pass on that if we could and keep playing? Or does everyone say, all right, we need this, I'm gonna go take a break, get some beverage, get a snack maybe, or whatever?
There's definitely some snacks, definitely some Crustables getting ate. 1,000%.
So halftime's always welcome. Then it doesn't really matter who you are, which side of the ball, right?
It depends on the game.
Yeah,
I know playing in the Super Bowl, we hated that. That 30-minute halftime is crucial. It's long. You're in there going through stretch routines. But during a regular season game, it really depends on the floor game. I mean, if you're out there getting your head kicked in, you can't wait for halftime to get in there and regroup. But if you're also stumping the team, you're like, nah, let's keep this momentum going. So it really depends on the game.
Yeah. Yeah. Tonight it felt like it turned right at the right at the beginning. Like I thought the Raiders were like, all right, cool. We're going into the break ahead. And all of a sudden, wait a second, we're now down. Holy cow, that happened
so fast, my friend.
Right. Yeah. After the break, we'll get into some of the accolades that continue to be heaped on Justin Herbert's season. Another milestone for him. It's the Locked On Chargers postcast on the Locked On Sports LA YouTube channel, the place to hang out when every game is done. Pete Fox and Kenyon Barner. When we get back, we'll talk about a milestone for Justin Herbert. Tonight's episode of the Locked On Chargers postcast also brought to you by FanDuel. FanDuel, where's that thing? There it is. From big upsets to game-winning drives, the NFL playoffs are better with FanDuel because right now new customers can bet $5 and get $250 in bonus bets guaranteed. The $200 in bonus, it's $200 now. I love when they bounce it from 150 to 250 to 200. They keep you guessing, all of us. $200 in bonus bets, win or lose. So that's a benefit right there. One of the bonuses of late has been if you win that first $5 bet, not heading into the playoffs, it is guaranteed win or lose. The FanDuel app gives you everything you need for live bets, which is a whole lot of fun. Is he going to make this field goal? They're going to score this touchdown, et cetera, same game parlays, and much more. Visit FanDuel.com to join today and get started. Again, $200 in bonus bets guaranteed at FanDuel.com. Make this playoff season unforgettable and make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL. All right, big win for the Chargers today, 34-20, cruising to victory. Raiders scored late to make it, not quite as dominant as the game looked. Ultimately,
a little respectable.
Yeah. Sure. Dan says he agrees that it felt like the Chargers were looking ahead. Past would have lost. The Chargers of the past would have lost today. Which team is different? They can come out at halftime a different team. So, this is a different, not just a different team, Kenyon, different organization. I mean, I said it from the beginning when they got this is exactly what they needed. Harbaugh, Roman, the new general manager, they needed a complete organizational overhaul. And even though at times I think Harbaugh is just winging it, I feel like, that's just the outward Harbaugh. The inside Harbaugh knows what he's doing. He has, good command of the team. He works well with his coaches, his staff. Like he's a top-down sort of dude, and I feel like he's humble. He doesn't need to be in control of everything. He hires quality people to work with him, and everything is coming together at the right time, including the quarterback Justin Herbert, who had 3,000 plus yards after this game and 20 touchdowns for the first of his 5 seasons. Is that right?
Yep.
Each of his first 5
seasons.
And I don't think anyone's ever done that
players.
before.
There's 3 players. One of 3.
So
one of 3.
That's big. Yeah. 3,000 plus and 20 touchdowns plus in each of his first 5 seasons. So I don't, there's not many people that criticize Justin Herbert and think that he's the problem. Anytime a team loses or isn't playing well, it's always fire the coach. Right. I don't believe that if, I don't even want to bring this up, but if the Chargers were going bad right now, it wouldn't be Justin Herbert's fault. But the fact that they're going well, he deserves a lot of the credit along with Jim Harbaugh. And the fact that in year number 1, they've all figured out how to get on the same page. And that's not easy to do sometimes.
No, but that's a credit to Harbaugh. One thing about being a great coach is knowing who to surround your players with. Because your assistant coaches, your position coaches, they're essentially head coaches within that small room. So knowing who you can hire, knowing who you can trust with your players is a huge part of being a head coach. So that's a huge credit to Harbaugh. But not only that, to Herbert being able to buy in. Herbert's been through a lot in his short career. He's been through a lot of different coaches, a lot of coordinators. And so for him to consistently show up the way that he does, that it's also some credit needs to go with him to be able to adapt and adjust. But he has somebody finally, I believe in Harbaugh and in Rome, that he can really trust that's going to be there, and trust. What do they say? Trust the process, as they say out there in Philly.
Yeah, absolutely. And the other thing about Herbert's season under Harbaugh is they haven't put it all on his shoulders, and it has to be somewhat comforting for him to say, look, I don't have to do everything. And in the past, it has felt like, correct me if I'm wrong, but it's felt like Herbert had to be the guy all the time. And if he even made one mistake, they were screwed. Game over. We're going to lose. The fact that he's had 3 interceptions this year is partly his ability and partly the game plan that the coaches have put together for him. They haven't put all of the pressure on him to throw the team to victory every single freaking week. And that to me is also a nice position to be in heading into the postseason, that it's like, look, it's helpful. And you're playing great right now. Let's not change any of that. But, you just never know how a game's going to go, and anything can happen. And if he has an off day, then they have other ways of winning. It doesn't rely solely on him throwing all of the time. And going into this game against Houston, they have to feel really good about themselves. They beat the Titans today, but everyone does. And, the Titans are playing for the number 1 pick. So I think they got it actually because the Patriots won today for some dumb reason. The Ravens and the Chiefs beat Houston the prior 2 weeks. And the Texans going into the postseason have dropped 2 of their last 3. So they're not feeling too great about themselves.
Not at all. And it's kind of like two sides of the coin. You have a hot team coming in, catching their stride, peaking at the right time, and then you have a time that's trying to find their footing. That's not a good combination that you want to have, being on the opposite side of that coin. And I'm right with you. I think that, like I said it earlier, this is a favorable matchup for the Chargers. This is a game that they can definitely go out and win. And if they play Charger branded football, I don't think it'll be close. I love CJ Stroud over there. I love what they're doing offensively, but what the Chargers have as a complete package, I feel like they could run away with this game.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised at all. And we haven't spent a ton of time talking about the defense. Obviously, we referenced Henley's interception, which was huge, but I wanted to get to something that we have consistently talked about seemingly every week for the last 4 or 5, and that is Tarheeb Still and Cam Hart continuing to show up week after week and just making life so tough for their opponents out there on the corner as rookies. I mean, these guys, I don't know if they're Pro Bowl worthy, but they're definitely worthy of mention on a weekly basis, and that's a huge benefit to the defense.
Absolutely. And the fact that they're rookies, and they're out there, they're playing like vets. Each and every week they come out, they get better. Each and every week they're showing up. They're playing like 4 or 5 year vets out there on this defense. And when you have that at the corner position, when you can trust those corners and not giving up huge plays and showing up in the run game the way that they show up, that's a huge get for your football team. Huge get. And speaking of that defense, the defense, I think today got 21 takeaways. Am I correct in saying? I believe that was 21 takeaways on the season.
Mm-hmm. I think so. Yeah.
Beautiful thing. Keep it rolling.
Yeah. They just, they locked down, and we saw a little bit of that bend don't break thing today again, which is another, positive factor for this defense that you have become more comfortable with. I think it's like, all right, we're cool with them running up and down the middle of the field. But when it gets down to the red zone, we're going to tighten things up. And that's what we've become used to. And I think one of the other positive factors for this defense, just from a fan perspective, not from an X's and O's perspective, the fact that a lot of their names, when we run through their names, Still, Hart, Daiyan Henley, who generally leads them in tackling week after week. He had 5 today. Still was number 1 with 7, but Henley had 5. Troy Dye is another name that we're very familiar with. Alohi Gilman, Tony Jefferson, the veteran, and of course, Derwin James, Khalil Mack, and Bosa. Those guys, week after week after week, continue to show up and do their job. Although Bosa didn't have a great game today, but probably didn't play a lot either. So this defense to me is the best defense I've seen from this Charger team in a long, long time.
No doubt about it. I remember my last couple of years playing against the Chargers. You kind of knew some guys, knew some names here and there. But when you look at this defense, this defense has been, in my opinion, top 5 defense. I know they're they're number 1 defense, scoring defense in the league.
Right.
But all around, this is one of the top defenses in the league. They play together. They communicate well. When you have a guy like Derwin James back there, who is the captain of the defense, getting guys together in the backfield, making plays in the run game, getting sacks. You have Steele and Hart out there you have players all over the place. The identity of this defense is phenomenal. This is truly a special defense. And when you have a defense like this, playoff runs become very interesting because defense wins championships while offense wins games.
It's a huge point, and it shouldn't go unmentioned. And I think it goes for the offense as well. That the fact that this team knows who they are, and I feel like we've said this over and over again, but it is worth repeating. They know who they are. They have an identity, and they stick to it. And that is so freaking important. You could probably talk about it. And being on 3 Super Bowl teams, like how often does a Super Bowl team go into the postseason kind of trying to figure out who they are? They always know who they are,
always. And
they go out and perform that way. And that's why those teams win, right?
1,000%. 1,000%. That Philadelphia Eagles team, we knew who we were. We knew what we were. We knew where our weaknesses were. We knew where our strengths were. When you have a championship caliber team, as you just said, you know exactly who you are. There's never a guess. When games are tough, when you're down, you know what your identity is. You know what you're going to do to get back into games, and you know what you're going to do to win games. This Charger team has an identity, and we talked about this earlier in the season about we're not sure what the identity is. With J.K. Dobbins back in the backfield, Herbert at quarterback, you know what the identity of this team is. They want to run the football, and they want to keep Herbert, allow him to pass the ball, but not be able to do too much. And then defensively, we're going to pressure the quarterback. We're going to defend. We're going to get sacks. And we're going to cause turnovers. We know who we are.
Yeah, it's one of those things to me that is comforting for fans. You hope that the matchup works out well for them, and I think this is the best possible opportunity for them to win this wildcard game and move on. So everything is lined up for them. It feels like the game is kind of condensed and slowed down because we know what to expect. We're not wringing our hands going, oh, I don't know what's going to happen. I hope this all works out because we know what to expect. Now, we don't know what the outcome is going to be. We don't even know when the game is. We just know we're playing the Houston Texans in wild card action next week. None of the schedule is announced yet because I don't think they've put it together yet. So that will be TBD according to the schedule here. And one final comment from James. So many great contributors of first-year Chargers this year. Hats off to Ortiz. That's the GM or the director of player personnel or whatever. Another new body in the Charger organization that has been very, very meaningful and impactful. So we'll talk on, what do you think? Probably Saturday. This feels like a Saturday game to me.
Yeah. It definitely feels like a Saturday evening game.
So it'll be Chargers and Houston Texans there at Allegiant or whatever that field is called. Allegiant is Vegas, where they played today.
Vegas.
Yeah, but so it won't be there. It'll be in Houston.
What is the name? Now you got me thinking.
Reliance Stadium.
Alliance. Yeah.
Yeah, okay. That's where they'll be. So we'll have to wait and see when, but we'll be here right afterwards to talk to you about it. For Kenyon Barner, I am Pete Fox. It's the Locked On Chargers postcast. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Thanks for all the comments. And again, take it easy. Enjoy the week. We'll see you probably on Saturday, but definitely right after what we hope will be a wild card win. Take care. Have a good one.